This is a dream I had about a week and a half ago. I've had a lot of dreams in the last several years. Many I have not talked about for one reason or the other, mostly because I've been very busy. This dream had elements in it that I knew were God, didn't have to even question whether they were God. And because it was God, I feel impressed to tell you, to take the time to give you this dream at least. So, as I'll give you the dream, I'll try to interpret a little bit as it went and try to make it make sense as opposed to just explaining the dream. There's some things I completely understand. Dream went like this. I get shuffled around. I start out at, I believe, on a runway, and I'm taking pictures of fighter jets taking off. The fact that I'm taking pictures, at least I took it as I was taking note of what was happening, paying attention. Where these fighter jets are going, these were United States jets. I don't know where they were headed, but they were on their way to attack somebody. I then look off in the distance. Not sure where I'm standing at this point, but I look off in the distance and I see among all the black clouds, because there's a lot of cloud cover. There was clouds, black clouds. There was only like a ray of light coming way, way off in the distance. And that allowed me to see in the background a volcano going off. I've never dreamt of a volcano before. Not in any dream that I've ever aware of. Nor have I ever dreamt of fighter jets, if that matters. So I'm seeing this volcano go off in the distance. Behind me, as I'm watching the volcano go off, because I see, it's erupting. Behind me, I hear an explosion. I thought, what kind of explosion is that? And I turn around, and I thought, I'm just seeing it fall. I just seeing the what's left of the explosion. I asked myself, was that a nuclear explosion? And then I got to see a nuclear explosion. This is what I said in the dream. What kind of explosion was that? I wonder if that was nuclear. I get to see the plume go up, and I get to see the explosion. And then I get to watch another one off that direction, wherever that direction was, another nuclear explosion. And then I watched another one. And then all of a sudden, I'm turning because I want to get away. I turn to run. And I find myself, now where I grew up, we lived about one block away from the school. Where I grew up in my parents' house, the school was right there too. At this point, everything's completely black. It's dark clouds. I'm running through the school yard to get to my parents' house. Now, let me explain a couple things here. Generally, in God dreams, when God's trying to talk to you, school generally has to do with if you find yourself in a classroom or you're being taught from a teacher, or generally school has to do with God training you, teaching you. He's wanting to show you something. You need to learn something. That's generally school dreams. Parents' house, your parents generally is another thing, which is where I was running to. Parents generally, if you want to listen to John Paul Jackson, he'll tell you his dad was God. Your father in a dream, generally your father, your dad is God. His wife, or your mother, his wife is generally the church. So father is God, his wife is the church, or your mom, your parents. And their house, your parents' house, is going to be the church buildings, that kind of thing. Got it? That's generally the way it goes. Generally the way John Paul Jackson will tell you. That's and I happen to believe that's that. I'm running through the school yard. Now, there is no school there. The yard was bare. There was nothing there. There was nobody there. There were no buildings. There was no... School was out. Let's just say school was over. There was no more school. School was gone. I didn't understand it. I understand it now. And I hope your guys are getting this. School's done at this point. So there's no school buildings whatsoever. The place is empty. I'm running through the schoolyard to my parents' house. As I am running in the dream, which is unusual. This isn't me thinking in my head. As I'm saying in the dream, this is a God dream. This is a God dream. Is this a God dream? This has got to be a God dream. This is a God dream. That's what I'm saying as I'm running across this barren schoolyard to my parents' house. This is one of the reasons why I had to give it to you, because you hit that point, just kind of like, are you having a God dream? Well, duh, you're having a God dream. Well, again, it wasn't me thinking about the dream. It was me saying it as I'm running through the empty schoolyard. I get to my parents' house. My mom is outside, along with a bunch of other people. Now, I'm aware that the nuclear explosions are still on the way. I'm expecting at some point to feel their impact. They were way off in the distance. I'm waiting for the wind and the radiation. This is what I'm waiting for in the dream. Telling my mom to get in the house, trying to get her in the house, and all these other people are trying to get into the house who I didn't know who any of them were, trying to get into the house too. My dad's in the house, by the way. My mom was the only one outside. And I feel the wind and the radiation I know is there, and the dream ends. Hopefully that I tried to explain as much as I understand as dreams go, or the way John Paul would probably interpret it, probably even for you. Hope that dream makes sense. There are several takeaways, though, that I think are pertinent. One I considered after I woke up and realized I had a God dream was, did the order of it mean anything? And I felt it probably did, but I'm not going to, the dream was over. Are we going to be experiencing soon fighter jets? Somewhere around the same time or after that, we're going to have a volcano eruption. I've never had a volcano. Now, I realized John Paul Jackson talked about Mount Rainier. I've known that for a long time. Mount Rainier. He said it's a volcano that starts with an R in Washington. Is going to go off. Does that happen after the fighter jets at the same time? I don't know. I just know I never ever had a volcano going off. Ever seen fighter jets before? There was a God dream, folks. And then we're going to have an attack here on us. Something to consider, something to think about. It was a God dream. The takeaways, I believe, are available for us to understand.